Welcome to Pep Talk and Pickleball, the podcast where we explore empty nest life, health, fitness, and nutrition, all with a side of pickleball fun. I'm your host, Jill Lewis, your guide through this exciting phase of life. As a certified faster way to fat loss coach and fellow empty nester, I'm here to share insights, interview experts, and yes, sprinkle in some pickleball talk. Join me for weekly doses of motivation and laughter as we navigate health, happiness, and pickleball passion. Grab your paddle, join the conversation, and let's dive into Pep Talk and Pickleball. Welcome back to Pep Talk and Pickleball. This is your host, Jill Lewis, and today I have a fabulous guest. This is a new friend of mine that I met over social media on Instagram, to be specific, and this is Suzy Mighell, and Suzy is the creator. She is the face behind Empty Nest Blessed, and I think it is so fun that we've met, through social media, Suzy, and I just want to say thank you for being here with us.
Well, thank you for having me. I am so glad to make a new friend like you, Jill. I need more Jills in my life to encourage me and give me pep talks and maybe teach me pickleball too.
Oh, yes, of course. Oh, I love to. I love to. Well, you have this blog, Empty Nest Blessed, but I want to hear what inspired you to start it? When did you start it? Give us all the details on this.
I was a stay-at-home mom, the PTA president, and the room mom, and did all the things. And when my youngest went to college, I have two boys and a girl. When my youngest daughter went to college, it was on my 50th birthday. Just the cruelty was 50. And I noticed a bunch of my friends that were, in essence, I mean, just to make a long story short, kind of falling apart when their
Mhm.
kids left the nest. Stay-at-home moms, maybe more than moms who had a career. Homeschool moms, maybe more than other stay-at-home moms. So there
Sure.
were various degrees of falling apartness going on. And it just, not that it was an easy transition, because I don't think it is for anyone. It is an emotional time of adjustment. But I felt like, do these women not have a connection anymore to who they were as women? I mean, we are mothers. It is a sacred privilege to be a mother. And I'm so glad that I was a mother and am a mother still. But we were women before we were moms, and we still have a lot to offer. And so I think it's really important for women to feel that way. So all I did was just say, I'm going to go on this journey through the empty nest. I'm going to rediscover who I am and what I want to do. I'm going to make this adjustment. I'm going to make this a joyful and positive time and really see kind of what God has planned for me in this last part of my life and really make a difference. And so that's what I set out to do. So I started off, it was 9 years ago. So I started off really in the age of blogging. So I was writing things like, want to cook for two as opposed to five, like you used to. And I was sharing little recipes, and what started happening was, as I would film a video and put it on YouTube or something like that, people would say, "Oh, that's a great little chili recipe. Where did you get your earrings? And where can I get that shirt? And thanks for doing that. And I've got this child that has completely left our family's values. What should I do? I mean, and so things just started coming, and I realized there was a real need for women to have someone really just come alongside them in the empty nest to encourage them and just to say, we're going to do this together. So I kind of think of myself as like the big sister that I don't even know, the big sister, the peer that just comes along and puts my arm around you and says, we're going to walk together. And
Hmm.
I'm just the brave one. I'll put myself out there. I'm not an expert, but I will put myself out there.
That's
So
amazing.
that's how it started.
Did you, in the beginning, think this is something that you would be able to monetize, or was this just purely just a little hobby that you thought I'm gonna, try?
That's a great question. So really the industry of influencing content creation grew up at the same time Empty Nest Blessed grew up. And so really when I started, there was not really monetization. It was blogging. And in fact, all the brands, when you get on, the website for, brand you liked, they would have a blog. too, and they would write little articles. And so
Hmm.
blogging was the thing. And it was just when people started asking me, where's this from? Where'd you get that? Well, where'd you get that, slow cooker that you're using for the chili? All these things. So really the way a lot of us started back then, we started monetizing through Amazon,
Okay.
which Amazon would let you link to things with one of their links and pay this little tiny commission. And you're like, okay, I didn't necessarily look at it like that. But then platforms started springing up that operate, probably heard of LTK
Yes.
and others that operate in a way that they are sort of the go-between a brand where they contract with a brand and content creator. And so they take a little cut for themselves from the brand and then they pass a commission on to you. So that is kind of how I monetize. My original mission was really just to encourage and inspire and bless empty nesters. And that's never changed.
Yeah.
Monetizing was not my first intent,
Hmm.
was not my second intent or third intent, and
Right.
still necessarily isn't my main goal. It just continues to be that same mission.
Yeah. And isn't
So
it interesting
I'm
though?
very, very picky. I'm very, very picky about brands I work with. Feel like my followers trust in me as just my greatest commodity, and I would not violate that for anything. So
Oh, of course.
for me to accept to work with a brand or even to represent something, to share products, it has to be something I feel really strongly about and something I use myself or would use myself or have used myself, and can definitely recommend.
Sure. I mean, I just think it's really cool though that in this day and age that you can find something that you feel passionate about and it could start out as a hobby, but then it does become a career, which is what it sounds like it has happened for you, which I think is really neat. And it's happened in a very authentic way, which is great. So your blog is of course fashion. I think that's how I came across you was more through the fashion, but you do beauty, you, obviously empty nest parenting and what that looks like. You do a lot of health and wellness and travel as well. But tell me, so as far as if we could start with that fashion aspect, where are you seeing that empty nest women are needing the most help with fashion advice? Is it just everyday looks? Are you like helping them with dressy occasions? Like what are you finding?
That's a great question. So, first of all, let me take a step back real quick and say, just for some shop talk, the way it's termed in my industry is a vertical. So, a vertical would be fashion, beauty, travel, wellness. So, those are verticals. I chose with my blog to go horizontal. So, my
Hmm.
horizontal is the empty nester demographic. And then I think of it almost like, we all used to read magazines when we were younger, and there'd be a
Yeah.
beauty section and a fashion section and where should you live and where should you travel, and so there'd be little sections for everything. That's how I think of empty nest bless. So yes, fashion is sort of my segue to get out there on social media.
Mhm.
It is probably my most trafficked in general category on my site, second beauty. But the life-changing posts are the empty nest parenting ones. Those are the ones that
Yes.
people love. And those are the ones that go viral on Pinterest and things like that. They're really evergreen. So, anyway, back to fashion. To answer your question, what I see is empty nest women who don't know, number one, how to dress what they consider appropriate for their age. And I always think of that as like so that you don't embarrass your children. So, there's this big kind of trend, anti-aging trend where everybody's like, you wear whatever you want. You can wear this, you can wear that, doesn't matter. Well, I just don't want to embarrass my children. Just, just, just because you can wear it because you can, it doesn't mean you should in my book. And so that's just something that women have to decide for themselves. But so
Totally.
I find that women struggle with translating the trends
Hmm.
into their everyday life. I don't think we're at an age where we're buying a lot new. We're not going to go to H&M and buy a bunch of stuff and spend, fast fashion as much,
Yes.
but we do want to look fresh and cute. And so learning to incorporate the trends into what we already have in our wardrobe is always a big thing. Then I think too, as our bodies change as we age, Even if you stay fit, even if you're around the same age, just your curves may shift, things happen. And so women are learning how to dress their bodies at midlife and beyond. And so I think helping them work through that transition, that's
Yeah.
important too. And I'm just a really an advocate of I think we should all be healthy. I don't really care about your size. You need to pursue health, longevity, so that you can be there for all those precious moments with your family that are to come. But as long as you're pursuing wellness and health, you need to dress the body that you have right now. And if it's not the size you want, if it's not the number on the scale, that's a separate issue. But we're going to talk about you're beautiful at any size. God made flowers of all types. And let's dress the body that you have. So, really keeping up with the trends, I find empty nesters really want to be very in the know. And even if it's just that they want to know, okay, well, what is my daughter going to be like waltzing in here wearing? They want to know that too. So try to keep
Yes.
them so in the know.
Totally. It's so funny. I mean, I try to, I'm a young empty nester, but I do try to keep up on, trends and just being on social media as much as I am. I think I do an okay job, but it is funny with my daughter. My biggest advice I've always given her was like, you don't have to hop on every trend. Like not every trend is going to work for you. And so I always think that with still to this day with my own shape and size, not every trend works on everybody, and that's okay. And that was a mistake that I always made when I was younger. If there was a
Yes.
trend, I mean, I was on it, whether I should have been or not.
I think a lot of people were like that when they were young. And that is one of the beautiful things about aging is that I do think that we get more confident and we know ourselves better. We know what we're comfortable with, what we're not comfortable with, and we're not going to be as trendy. We know what looks better on us and what
Yes.
doesn't, and we're not afraid to skip some trends. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And I appreciate what you said about fast fashion. I'm the same way. It's just not
Yeah.
my thing. Okay, let's dive into a little bit about the beauty aspect and like
Okay.
what are your like favorite things that are happening with beauty and empty nesters right now?
It's really interesting because I feel like there is a real trend toward positive aging, which I love seeing. That looks different for different people. So there are some women that would say, I'm a positive ager, but I'll do Botox, I'll do fillers, I'll do a facelift, I'll do whatever, but I'm pro aging. Other people say, no, you have to let your hair go gray. You can't use anything besides a cream. Um, and wash your face and that's positive aging. So there seems to be a real differentiation in what people believe about beauty. And again, I think the wonderful thing about being our age is you just have to do you
Yeah.
and you have to not worry about everybody else. So I've been very open about what I have done, what I haven't done, what's driving me crazy, what's okay. We're all different. You have straight hair. I have these crazy curls that just rule my life. And, so we're all different and it's all wonderful. And I think women just need to follow what they feel comfortable following. And I'm happy to share what I've done and I have, um, and have no problem being honest about it. So, there's just like I said, there's a real difference. And I feel like women are becoming a little bit freer with letting kind of you do you, I'll do me, and we can all just
Yeah.
be fine.
Don't you
Hope
think it's
hope they are.
interesting? Yeah, exactly. Don't you think it's interesting that when you think about our ages now and what women looked like, just even in the 80s, what a 50 to 60-year-old
Yeah.
woman looked like versus what a 56-year-old woman looks like today. And I
Yeah.
just think how much younger. I don't know if it's the hair, if it's the skincare, if it's the teeth quality. Like I don't know, or just the body composition. Like what do you have any thoughts on that?
I think, and it's interesting you said that because I think it has a lot to do with wellness.
Hmm.
You know, I'm not interested in my chronological age. I turned 59 yesterday. I'm more interested in my biological age.
Yes.
And so I will pursue good health in my eating to the extent that I'm able to. I will pursue wellness in my exercise routine. I will stay active. Also, I think I've seen a real shift in how people think about healthcare. I feel like our generation sees ourselves more as partnering with our physicians and
Yes.
a more active, and maybe it's the rise of Google, and WebMD and all this stuff.
Yeah, good point.
But I
Good
feel
point.
like, yeah, we're much more engaged in our wellness, and we want to know what's out there. We'll do the research. And my parents who are in their 80s, I see them like, oh no, I can't call the doctor. I don't want to bother him. No, he doesn't like it when you do that. I was like, he works for you. I
Yes.
think it's okay. If he doesn't want to talk
Right.
to you, the nurse will call or do the portal.
Yeah, and they take everything as Bible truth on
Yeah.
what, if that physician gave them an answer, I know, where I would be like, well, I would push back on that and ask this or that, and like you said, it's more of a partnership than just them telling you what's what. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So I
I
do think
agree.
women are more actively involved in their health. There is certainly no lack of understanding what we ought to do to be healthy. There is a lack of compliance,
Yes.
self-control, self-discipline to get
Sure.
it done. Some people enjoy exercise. A whole lot of people do not enjoy it, but do it because they know they should and they want the benefits from it.
Hmm.
And I think that's good. So to me, that's a huge trend that I've seen, women just taking a little bit more control of their health and wellness.
Yeah. When in your empty nest journey so far, have you found like that because I know travel is part of what you talk about. Do you find you are being like more adventurous with your travel? Has that changed at all through your empty nest journey so far?
I mean, I think I want to keep up with my kids, and I have one grandbaby. She's 18 months old, so I want to do, fun things with her and
Yes.
with my kids. So I am more adventurous, although at the same time, I'm a little bit more cautious because you
Hmm.
kind of know what can happen. And I'm like, yeah, I don't really need to do that anymore. And
Yeah.
so I was diagnosed with osteoporosis last year, very young to be diagnosed with osteoporosis, but I have some gut issues that made me not a good absorber of nutrients. Let's put it that way.
Hmm.
Um, so I ended up with osteoporosis and had to start treatment for that. But so I feel like, you know what, my skiing days are over. That's okay. That's okay.
Right.
I mean, we were in Montana a couple weeks ago, and I mean, I did go zip lining and stuff, and I still have fun, and I do a lot of workout things that would strengthen my bones to the best of my ability, to strengthen the muscles around those bones.
Hmm.
And I'm not going to do anything foolish, but
Right.
but I guess I just want to keep up with them. And also, I think about being our age, Jill, you are in that sandwich generation. That's an actual term. I don't know if you've heard it, but where we're sandwiched in between our often, if you're blessed to still have your parents, your elderly parents, your
Hmm.
adult kids, and maybe even your grandkids. So we are right there sandwiched in the middle. I see my parents not as active as I wish they were. And I see my young adult kids really adventurous. And I'm just like, I just want to be somewhere in between. I just want to be right there in between.
Yeah.
So you have the advantage of kind of seeing a little bit more 360, I think.
Hmm.
And, then I see my little grandbaby and I look at her little feet and she doesn't have any calluses and she doesn't have any, I mean, this little baby feet are so cute. And you
So
think, well,
cute.
this is how it just came out originally. So anyway, so you can see that 360 view. And I think it helps put things in perspective. I don't know
Oh,
if
for
that makes any
sure.
sense, but
No, I
yeah.
think it does. I think it does. What would you say, like, if you and your husband were going to go, like, so for you, what's like the best kind of vacation trip for you and your spouse?
Wow. If it's just the two of us, I think we love going to just maybe a nice resort.
Hmm.
I'm a sucker for a lazy river, Jill.
Oh, I
I
love
am. I will
that.
get on a lazy river and I will just float forever. I think normally I'm so active that for me, vacation needs to be like really still.
Yes. Hmm.
Really still. And Bob is not that way. My husband likes to do, do and go, we're going to do this. And so we've kind of come to this compromise where usually when we go, we spend like half the day doing and going, and then half the day just really relaxing. And that seems to work well for
That
us.
seems perfect.
So,
Do you
yeah.
travel with your adult children ever?
Yes, we just got back. We were in Montana with visiting my daughter who's working there this summer. We took my son, my daughter-in-law, and grandbaby, grand toddler, and had a great time. The boys fly fished, the girls, we
Yeah.
hiked, we pushed the stroller, we threw rocks in the lake over and over and over. We had a great time. It's just 18 months, you're entertained for things for a really long
Yes.
time.
But
They're not very complex.
I think for most, empty nesters, like that's the dream. You want to be included on those types of trips, or maybe you're the
Yeah,
one that's offering, like this is a trip we can do together as a family. But
yeah,
that's your dream, is just that you can all be together and experience new places as a family unit still. And I'm sure
yeah.
that's so difficult. The more kids are involved and the older that the grandbabies get, so those are have to be such special
I
times to
think
take
that's true.
advantage
And
of.
what's interesting is we found as our kids are adults, so my boys are 32 and 30, and then my daughter's 27. So what we found is with our kids, we really like to have them one at a time. It's fun to have everybody together, but then the dynamic kind of takes over
It
those
does.
personal interactions. So we like to go visit my oldest son and his wife and just spend 4 or 5 days just with them. We have deep talks. They don't have children yet. We talk about all the things and deep dive into all kinds of
Yes.
everything and have such a kind of a refined, lovely time. And then we go with, the middle one with the baby, and we're, throwing rocks in the water and fishing and zip line and doing the alpine slide and doing a little bit crazier things. And then with my daughter, it's just girl time.
Yeah.
We just have girl time. And I know you just got back from having girl time with your daughter, and
Yes.
there's just nothing quite like girl time.
It is fun
Sweet.
to, like when I was doing that with my daughter, my husband was out in Alaska fishing with our boys. So it is
Yeah.
fun to think about, for all you empty nesters out there. And, it doesn't have to be just the holidays. Like, I know sharing time with kids, none of my kids are married, so we haven't had to experience that yet. But I know that time is coming where you got to share them with another family. But, I just think, it can look different, and you can do different trips. And like you said, I love that. Just enjoying them one at a time is really special for
It
sure.
is. And, part of that I think has been for us, and I'll say this since you brought up about your kids being married, part of the beauty of it for us has been that we've really worked to cultivate good relationships with our daughters-in-law.
Yes.
Both girls. I treat them just like my daughter. They get the same presents at Christmas. Not, I mean, not the same, but the same. I spend the same amount on everybody. I call them my daughters. I talk about my girls, and it's all three of my girls. And I adore them. And that has meant a lot to my sons. I've noticed that. It's not why I did it. I did it because I wanted to build relationships with these wonderful girls. I'm so grateful for them. But it's meant a lot to my sons. I mean, they just like every birthday card, they're like, "Thank you for being so wonderful to my." Just
Oh, that is
sweet,
so
sweet. And
sweet.
so,
I'm
if
so
you
glad
want
you
to
said
stay close
that.
to your boys when they're adults, love on their wives. That's not why you do it. Hopefully, prayerfully you get precious girls, and really you do need to pray about your kids' spouses. It's a big, big deal.
Heck yes.
And what you hope and pray is that they marry into a wonderful family too, and who appreciates your sons or your daughter, really loves them and can add a lot to their lives too. It may happen, it may not, but
Absolutely. And
it's an
that
important thing.
I've always laughed with my friends, like, like it's a competition, we're always like, we got to be the more fun in-laws, we want to have our kids more. But like, I love what you're saying is that no, I mean, it's a blessing for your children to have amazing in-laws. Like that is a gift in their
Yeah,
life. And
I
for
know.
me as a mother to know, like when looking towards the future, like I need to be respectful of that and understanding of that. And then what you said, treating, because we have the same, I have two boys and a girl, just like you do. And it's the same kind of age spread, which is so fun. But, when I think about like having daughters-in-law in the future, it's like, oh yeah, treating them the same as I would my own daughter. What a great great gift you just gave me to say that, because you're right.
Oh, well, you mentioned something about when you said you have to share them with another person. Honestly, I don't feel that way. I feel
Hmm.
more like I took those girls aside and I was like, "Look, I did the best I could. He's not finished. He still needs a little help with his table manners. He may talk with food in his mouth. I am sorry. I did my best, but I hand him over to you right now." And what you realize is that you and that girl have the most precious thing in common, and that is you both adore that man, that boy. And that is a bond that is so precious and sacred. And so you both adore your son. So it's not like you're sharing, you're almost more like partnering. It's
Oh, it's
almost more
so
like you and your
sweet.
parents parent. And so you really partner and yeah.
Yes. Oh
Anyway.
my gosh. Suzy, I love that so much. It made me tear up a little
Oh,
bit. I love it.
oh,
Well, we were talking also about you were mentioning like health and wellness and how important that is with you. And I know that you go into that in your blog as well. Which by the way, everybody, it's emptynestblessed.com. So make sure you check that out. And I'll put it in the show notes how you can find Suzy as well. But you do have, I think it's unique in that you are so positive and you're just very vivacious. And I think a lot of people wouldn't know that you do have a little bit of some health struggles, I guess, for
yeah,
lack of better
yeah,
word. Could you care to kind of talk about that? Because
of course. No, I'm
I think
happy to
it's
talk about it.
important lesson for people to know, like the positive attitude that you have. I would never know this. And I just think, oh my gosh, you have some limitations, but you would never know by talking to you.
Well, thank you. Again, Jill, when you get to our age, I think when you hit 50, or even 45, you realize everybody has something, something. It might be a health struggle. It might be they have emotional trauma from their past. They may have a troubled marriage. They may have a child that's on drugs. They may have, I don't know, people. I mean, everybody has something. And
Yes.
so for me, I have a great marriage. I have wonderful kids. They've stayed true to their faith and they're loving and fun. And I'm grateful for all those things, but I do have health struggles. So I have an autoimmune disease called lupus. And it is a disease, it's sort of similar to rheumatoid arthritis. Rheumatoid attacks the bones and joints. Lupus can attack the organs a little bit more. So basically, autoimmune diseases put your body in a heightened state of immunity. So when it's cold and flu season and everybody's taking like immune boosting supplements, my body's like, no, 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 don't take those. We're already really excited already. And
Yeah.
so,
It's kind of like your body is
so
attacking itself a little bit, right?
your body attacks itself. And so I have to be really, really careful. Three big things that exacerbate my lupus are sun, sleep, and stress. And of course, those are things we all struggle with. We love the sun. Well, I have to be very careful about not getting too much sun. I put on sunscreen 2 to 3 times a day just because I sit near an open window when I work. I love the
Mm,
light. I love being outside. I love going to the beach. I love the outdoors, but I have to wear all that sun protective
mhm,
clothing. And, I don't look like a mummy, but
mhm.
I am very diligent about good sunscreens and good sun protection. As far as sleep, good sleep hygiene is just a part of my everyday wellness, just like exercise and just like eating well. And then stress and managing stress, exercise is a big part of that. And I think having someone that you can really talk through things with and prayer is a huge help to me. And then just being able to talk through things with my husband and, having an assistant that helps me with work, all of those wonderful things are such a blessing in managing stress. But I do deal with probably more fatigue than others. So people think I'm very high energy, but I mean, 30 minutes ago, Joe was asleep. Took a nap. I take a nap every day. I'm like a toddler. Take a nap every day. And so I think as far as, the joy that I deal with, or that is a part of my life, a huge part of that is my faith. I would be lying if I did not. I mean, that's really everything to me. But I think it's a choice too, because everybody does have something. And so I just choose joy. My lupus is something I have. It doesn't have me. If
Yes.
you have a troubled marriage, you have a troubled marriage, but it doesn't have you. And I just am not going to let it rob me of who God made me to be and what I want to do. And and if that's an encouragement to others, just the message is, don't let whatever you have, whatever your something is, do not let it rob you of your life, of your joy. It's not meant to. And truly, whether you see it or not, everybody has something. And
Mhm.
people are not necessarily keeping secrets, but people just aren't necessarily public with it. And
Sure.
so what I find is we all have this tendency, especially on social media, to kind of fill in the gaps, if that makes sense. So people look at maybe me doing a fashion something and they think, wow, she has it all together. She's slim and she's trim. Well, that's because my body does not absorb nutrients well. My osteoporosis. So sorry. I mean,
Yeah.
and everybody has their thing, and people fill in the gaps, and they tend to fill in the gaps with something that makes them feel worse and makes positive assumptions about the person they're seeing.
Isn't that the truth?
And we need to be careful. I mean, we need to be careful. I do it with other people, and I tend to think, oh, they have their life all together, or this is perfect. Trust me, it is not perfect. You just maybe haven't seen their something, or it's not visible on the outside. You just can't see it. And so I'm happy to share my something and some things. So I'm limited in what I can eat because I have those gastro issues.
Mhm.
I try to eat healthy, but I also have migraines. I had them a lot worse before I went through menopause. They were really hormonally triggered. So I actually have a lot of
Interesting.
foods that cause migraines, that are migraine triggers for me. And they're foods that a lot of people think are healthy, like avocados, bananas, yogurt, things like that. And so I'm kind of a nightmare to take out to eat. So everybody ends up getting these exotic things. And I'm like, could I just have a chicken breast with a little salt and pepper and maybe a little olive oil on the side? I'll dip it in. It's me. And so, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is a fancy restaurant. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
I
Oh
should
my
eat.
gosh. I think what you just said though, dialing into really getting to know yourself and your body has
Yeah.
made you as just what a positive impact that's had though to realize. I mean, I think there's still so many people that don't understand that food, what they're putting into their body with food is really impacts their health overall. I'm always telling my clients it's the food that we eat, it's either going to help you or it's going to hurt you. And you kind of try to look at it that way instead of just thinking in terms of calories. Start thinking, is this going to be beneficial to me or potentially harmful? And even some of those health ish foods for you, what might be healthy for me is ultimately harmful for you. So it's just really being in tuned to yourself and paying attention on all of that. I'm curious, did you use a food journal to figure that out, or did you have like a food sensitivity test?
No, I had a migraine. So I'm like, go,
You were
give
like,
me a
that's what I
migraine,
need. Yeah.
strike that one.
Okay.
And a
Was
lot
that
of times I would
immediate?
just
Yeah.
Google, I would be like, do avocados cause migraines? "Oh, yeah, sometimes. Okay, well, and then
Interesting.
I'd run it by the doctor the next time. So I didn't really necessarily have to do a food journal because it was sort of gradually over years that I
Hmm.
noticed different foods. And sometimes a food wouldn't, and then all of a sudden it would. Or if I eat, there are certain foods like chocolate and
Yeah.
wine, nuts. You just can't eat them. They're like a migraine trigger for many, many people.
What a bummer.
Yeah, but things like avocados, I can eat a little avocado,
Okay.
but if I eat it for too many days or eat too much, that's it.
Right.
And then I have to wait for a little while. Eggs are like that too. But the other thing I was going to say, just since we're talking about food, is I've really, and I feel like, I hope this isn't too trendy to say because I feel like it's a little bit trendy now, but I've really found it true, is I've really upped my protein intake as I've gotten older, and it has helped a lot in terms of my
Yes.
energy level.
Hmm.
So really amazing.
You're speaking
Yeah,
my
I'm
language. I mean, that is for sure. And for somebody that has a lot of food sensitivities, typically meat is like I don't know if I'm assuming you're getting them from animal sources, your
yeah.
protein mostly. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that typically for people that do have a lot of sensitivities, they do really well on a more carnivore-ish type of, diet plan. So that makes a lot of sense. But protein, I mean, and especially with you and, trying to put on some muscle onto your body and things, I mean, that is a win-win for you. So you're winning on the side of the food sensitivities and you're winning on the side of, helping you protect the muscle that you've got on your body. I mean, protein and strength training just go hand in hand. Plus, for the rest of us out there that are trying to lose weight, like it's just so satiating, it fills you up. I mean, that's, anytime if I don't get enough protein during the day, well, then the evening, that's when I start to think like, oh, what kind of little snacky snacks can I have? But when I'm filled up on my protein goal, which I have a very large protein goal, I probably eat like 135, 140 grams a day. So when I do that though, I have like, I'm done. But when I finish dinner, I don't eat after dinner because I'm satisfied.
Yeah,
So,
I feel the same way. And in fact, I sleep better if I'm not eating after dinner. So I try to be finished by about 7,
mhm.
and I do so much better, so much
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. Body's not digesting food all night long. So that is good.
Exactly, exactly.
That is
Definitely
great.
sleep better, and sleep is important, very important to
Yes.
me.
So tell me
So,
this, if we can go back to like the parenting a little
sure.
bit, like, do you have any advice for people that are getting ready to experience empty nesting for the first time? They're getting ready to enter that transition. Was there something that you did that really helped you or that you can give advice, speak on that to give advice?
That is a big topic.
Mhm.
I would love to come back and just talk about adjusting to the empty
Yes.
nest another
Yes.
time. That is a big, big topic. But I think a couple things just come to mind. Number one, just to recognize that it can be a really emotional time. It is a time of transition. It's not nothing, it's something. And your feelings will range from grief to relief to sometimes even kind of euphoria, this newfound freedom that you're realizing you're going to have in the empty nest. and and then you feel kind of guilty and you're like, no, I should be back in grief. And so it does take time to adjust, and you really need to lean into those feelings. I would say for most people a normal adjustment would be 6 to 9 months.
Mm.
It seems to get worse when the kids come home like for Thanksgiving and then they leave again and you're like, oh, I
Yeah.
can't wait to see them again. So there's a little stop and start there. So I think it's really important for parents to realize that as you're dealing with your feelings, and I would say this is true of just kids leaving for college, but definitely empty nest too. But when you have a child leaving for college, even if it's your first one, I think we feel like as parents that we're showing love when we're like, I'm going to miss you so much. I don't know what I'm going to do without you. You are just so precious to me. But what you're doing is taking your emotional baggage and putting them onto this child who actually is in a very emotionally tender place themselves. They're dealing with a giant life transition, leaving home for the first time, differentiating, individuating, all those individuatings terms. And it is a huge, huge stressor for them. So when you think you're showing love, like, oh, I'm going to miss you so much, you're taking your feelings, piling them on, and they are not responsible for your emotions. So you need to find your own support system, pastor, a counselor, a super good friend, your spouse, whatever, where you can put your feelings. And then you really need to shift, put your child first the way you know you need to as a parent, put them first and spend that time really listening, encouraging, and letting them know that you have full confidence in their ability to handle what's to come. So I think that is a key thing, right now that I'm seeing people deal with. We're recording this in the middle of August and people
Yes.
are getting ready to send kids off. And
Totally.
so I think that can be really, really tender, and you have to be very careful and recognize that, we all, when our kids aren't well, we want to come alongside them and send the chicken soup or help them, but they're really not well emotionally. They're dealing with a high stress level. And so the best thing you can do is not add yours to it, is just really come around them with support and encouragement.
I'm so glad you said that. I feel the exact same way. That is such great advice, Suzy. I've always said, like, here's the thing. It's not when your child's going off to college or starting a new job. I mean, it's not about you, it's about them, and let it, and like you said, you can't dump all of your emotion onto them. I mean, it's there. Yes, the transition for you is big, but it's bigger for your kids that are
Bigger.
moving.
I know it's bigger, and see if you can remember what that was like, you know? And so the other thing, since we're talking about this, the other thing that I think is really critical during that time is learning to make that transition in your parenting. You know,
Mm,
after 18 plus years of parenting in a certain way, you really have to put in the intentionality, the effort to transition your parenting from that of chief advice giver and problem solver to more of a cheerleader and encourager, and you're transitioning into friendship. So I think having that positive spin on it, working to see them as adults. And I think tell them you're working on it too. Like I told my kids, like, I am really working on this and I want to do this for you. And I do believe in you, but I'm like trying to kind of undo 18 years of the way I parented you. So I want you to know I'm working on it. If I mess up, you can kind of be like, hey, you know, and there were times I had to apologize. I gave you advice without being asked, and I'm sorry. Yeah, so stop giving advice without being asked,
yes.
you know, and really
I
move more into being that cheerleader and encourager in their lives. And if you can foster that positive change where you're really trying to just encourage that level of mutual respect and understanding, treating them more like you'd treat a good and tender friend, where you're thoughtful, you don't talk too much about yourself, you're interested in them, you're building them up, you're telling them they look great, they're doing great. You can find something to encourage. And I do hear from
totally
moms that are like, there is nothing to encourage. I'm like, not true. There is something. There's
something.
something. I like your beard. I like your, I don't know. I
Yeah,
like your belly button ring. I don't know. There's something. There's something.
exactly.
And so if you can foster that kind of positive relationship where it's clear to them that you're working on it and that your really goal right now is to move that relationship into one of mutual understanding and friendship ultimately, I think what you'll find is when they do need you, you will be the person that they reach out to for wise counsel. And I
Mm.
still, with my kids, sometimes my daughter, who's 27, she'll call me and say, I have some things to talk about, and I just need you to hold the bucket. Just hold the bucket. I'm just gonna, oh, there it comes. And then sometimes she'll say, I need to tell you this whole long story, and then I'm gonna need some advice. I want to know what you think. I'm gonna tell you what I was thinking. I want you to tell me what you think. So it just varies. And then there are times that maybe I'll hold the bucket and I'll be like, "It's some thoughts." Now you don't have to hear them, but I do have some thoughts. Do you want to hear them? You can say no. She's never said no. What? She's never said no so far. None of the kids have, but if they do, I have to be okay with it.
So,
So
so true. I love that. And I love that, like, let them, ask them, do you, find out. You can, I think I was interviewing someone recently that talked about that. Like, get permission before you just start to give all of your sage advice, because they may not want it. It's just like talking to sometimes like when I'm talking to my husband, I think years ago he figured this out, but sometimes I'm just venting. I don't really want to know the answer or how he would have done it. I just want to just complain about a situation just to talk. I'm just getting it off my chest. I don't necessarily
yes.
need him to like swoop in and fix something. And I think
Well,
our
you
kids
you
need
really
that too.
must, yeah, you must change your parenting, Jill. You must.
Hmm.
If you do not change the way you parented when they were young, if you don't make that transition, I don't mean to be over dramatic, but you will lose them. You
Yeah.
will lose them. You
No, I don't think
will
that's
lose
over
that
dramatic at
place
all.
of being that special person for them. And I tell my kids, especially before they're married, like, I'm your person. Like, you know, you have these great friends, and I am so glad. I love your friends. Your friends are terrific. But, you know, I saw you from early on, and I can tell you trends that you had that started when you were 2. And so there's no one can take away that longevity. That's a special bond that we have, that we share. And so I can give insight to you that other people can't give.
Yeah.
And I think that's really a special place to be.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Such good advice, Susie. Thank you. So tell
Yes.
us what can we be looking for from you on emptynestblessed.com? Like what's coming out?
So as I work on content for Empty Nest Blessed. I really am one of the people that is still very much blog based. That is my home base. It's where I'm able to, it's like if you and I met and had lunch, and that would be really fun. But if I told you, Jill, come over to my house and let me fix you lunch, that's emptynestblessed.com. So
Mm.
I really see the blog as my home. And so the content I produce there, then it sort of goes out in tentacles on social media, really with the intent to pull people back into my home. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
of course.
So everything I'm working on is just things that pertain to the life of an empty nester. So for instance, this week it's a game day week on Empty Nest Blessed, because so many empty nester parents are re-engaged maybe into college athletics, whether it's where your
Yes.
kids are in college and you're going to the football games, or you're back at your alma mater really engaged and season ticket holder, whatever. So many of us really enjoy that as a hobby, college athletics. It's a great thing for couples to share together and all that. So we're doing game day week. On Monday, we had game day looks and styles for women.
Fun.
Today, on Wednesday, we did a whole thing about tailgating. And on Friday, we're doing looks for men. So we like to
I
do
love
fun
that.
weeks like that. But then next week, our content is we're doing an article that I just finished writing about how to help your adult kids when they're in crisis.
Mm.
So if you have adult kids, they will experience crisis, from the death of a friend or a child to a bad breakup or a
Job
disappointing
loss or
job
yeah.
loss. Yeah. So they will have crisis. And so I've got 10 ways that you can help practically when your kids are in crisis, kind of what to do and
Oh,
what not to do. So that's going to be next week on emptynestblessed.com. And then we're also, after that, we're working on a post about what you can do about your dark circles under your so we cover the whole thing, and you kind of
yes.
never know what you're going to get. And I hope that's fun for my readers, that they're like, what's it going to be next week? What's she going to pull out?
Yeah, no, I think it's well, I mean, it's just life, It sounds like it's
Yeah,
just like you've got it all. I love that. So, with your blog, is that something then you could subscribe to and then you get like an email newsletter update?
exactly.
Okay, perfect.
Exactly. So every time I write a new post and release it, you get a newsletter from me. There's content in that newsletter that is nowhere else that I share. Maybe
Hmm.
what's in my Amazon shopping cart, or like this morning, I was interviewed on a news show. I've got a link to that maybe in it. So it's content that's not anywhere else. So that newsletter does go out every time I publish a new blog post. So it's about twice a week.
Love it.
So
Okay,
yeah.
great.
So I
Susie,
would
is
love
I
for
could,
people to subscribe. They can
oh, for
definitely follow me on
sure.
social media. I'm embarrassingly easy to find, just at Empty Nest Blessed on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, and YouTube. I'm not very active on YouTube. I need to be more, but yes, I am not on the
Yeah.
TikTok, but maybe one day, but not yet. So
I love it. Okay. So emptynestblessed.com, you can find everything and of course on all platforms. And then um I guess that's it, Susie. This was like I could just feel like we could chat forever about so many things. We have so much in common. I love it.
we
Um
do. I love it. I wish you lived closer. I think we would be BFFs.
I
I
know
do.
it. Well,
I
I'm gonna be
do.
looking for those game day outfits. My daughter, it's orange and blue where she goes. So
Okay, orange and blue. There you go. Well, that'll work. I'll mail you my shirt.
yeah.
There you
Well,
go.
when you said that earlier, the funny thing is when your kids, if you are into college athletics, wherever I go, there's certain colors that really stick out to me. And I'm always thinking in my mind. So when I see something, it's hard to find cute orange clothing. And so I'm like, oh, that's like a really good, and to get the right shade of orange. So when I
Yes.
see it, it's like, oh, I think
Yes.
I need to get that.
Yes, there are, and that is the trick, is there are different variations on the theme. The people at the University of Texas that wear burnt orange would not wear this,
Yeah,
but the people at Tennessee would wear this.
totally.
And
Right.
so, yeah, it's different for everyone. So you have to be understanding that. But yes, check out that game day post. You'll find some cute
Okay.
things. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Susie.
Thank you.
Ladies, protein deficiency is a huge problem, but it doesn't have to be. 1 in 3 adults don't consume enough protein, and it's no surprise when you understand how much you actually need in a single day. If you want to build muscle, lose fat, keep your immune system strong, and have all-day energy, then you should be eating at least 0.75 grams per pound of body weight. So, for example, if you weigh 150 pounds, that means you need almost 115 grams of protein every single day. For reference, 1 egg has just 6 grams of protein, so you'd need to eat almost 20 eggs to get 115 grams of protein. And if you're a senior, you need up to 50% more than that. That's because as we age, our bodies require more protein to preserve muscle mass, keep us healthy, reduce recovery time from illness, and improve overall quality of life. Clearly, getting enough protein is incredibly important. But how in the world do you hit that target protein count without spending a fortune or endless hours in the kitchen? Getting enough might seem impossible, but it's actually easy when you add Prime Protein's doctor-formulated, super clean, super smooth, incredibly easy to digest beef isolate protein powder to your diet. 1 scoop has 21 grams of protein, and with only a small handful of ingredients, you're getting only what you need. 100% carefully sourced real food, nothing else. No additives, no allergens, chemicals, fillers, or other junk ever. Plus, Prime Protein is incredibly delicious. I think it tastes like dessert, so you even have fun hitting your macros. Okay, if you are interested in getting more protein into your diet, head to today's show notes and I will give you a special link that can get you 15% off your first order of Prime Protein.